Imagine singing a song from every country in the world, and today we do Kenya. Sikudai namba 2 wakanichu jadaro sonkajega shule wajali pekaro.
And those videos were going great, but then something weird clicked and I decided to quit.
So working with FIFA, that's a huge thing.
I'm broke and I'm on lockdown and I am unemployed. Sometimes there are just things we are naturally better at. So what I try to do is, which is, by the way, I had a vision. I don't consume any TikToks a day. It was definitely because of that challenge. I just said to myself, I want to sing a song from every country in the world.
If people are wanting to blow up on TikTok like you, if people are wanting to get opportunities to work with FIFA and all of these big companies, what should they be focusing on now if they have 0 followers?
The revelation that helped me blow up on TikTok was,
Here we are. I'm sorry you can't actually see yourself up there. Only I can see myself.
no, that's all right. That's all right. I'm used to unpredictability. I'm used to not knowing what the final result is and just, well, actually, I'm not used to it. I'm used to it, but I'm not, because I used to worry a lot. But now I just let it go. I just kind of vibe with whatever's happening. If I can see myself, that's great. But if I can't, just go easy on it. You know what I mean?
I prefer not to look at myself when I'm filming, but you have to see yourself to make sure that it's filming and that you've got the right shot, you've got the right lighting. Because looking at myself, the pain of looking at myself isn't as great as getting the footage all just messed up.
Yeah, I guess when you start content creating, definitely looking at yourself is really hard, right? And you get distracted very easily because you're seeing like this movable object. Like right now, fingers crossed that everything's working. You're kind of chilling. You see 2 cameras there, but they're not really alive, right? But if you see like that little screen of yourself moving, it's like there's something else moving around, right?
Yeah.
So at the beginning it's hard, but once, for me as someone who's recorded himself day after day after day, like it's just like a blur in the background. Like it's there, but it's just like blurry. I can't see it. Like I know it's there, but it doesn't bother me.
That actually, that's a good place to start actually for my first question. Mm-hmm. Anyways, to start it off though, thanks for jumping on the 2nd episode of Humble Radio.
No, I really appreciate it.
But yeah, so you go by Karalius. Mm-hmm. Is it Karalius or Karalius?
So it's pronounced in Lithuanian Karalius.
Karalius.
Right? But I look at it and I say Karalius. But actually in Brazilian Portuguese, it's kind of a bad word if you say it as Karalius. So it might be better off if I say Karalius from now on.
Karalius.
Yeah, Karalius.
Okay,
and it's
Karalius.
easier. If you Karalius, people really get confused and they, mix the Y's and the L's and the I's. So, just Karalius is easier.
Karalius. All right, perfect. Well, the reason why I wanted to have you on today is because you're a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And we have known each other not very long, but the time we've known each other has been top-notch.
Very valuable.
Very top-notch. But I like to have a lot of different people on this podcast. So this is only episode 2, but we're going to have lots of different people from lots of different industries.
100%.
And you specifically, you have a 400,000, it's like 420,000 now follower TikTok account.
TikTok is 420,000, yeah.
420,000. And you've been working on that for a long time. You do a lot of other things, like being the face for the FIFA World Cup and the Dakar Rally and the Qatar.
Yeah, so it was the Saudi Games.
Saudi Games,
yeah.
Saudi Games, yeah. I'll let you go through all your accolades, but basically wanted you to come on and kind of explain all of your different experiences and why you do what you do. So maybe you can share with people a different perspective on how to go about making content. Because you've learned a lot. You've taught me a lot, that's for sure, about how to make content. You've been my mentor, basically. My friend yesterday, he was like, oh, congrats on one of your TikToks blowing up. Like, how did you do it? How did you hack the algorithm?
Yeah.
And I was like, there was no hacks. Like, I just had my friend just teach me some things, and I just applied what he told me to the content, and it seems to be working. So you know what you're talking about. I've taken your advice and it's worked for me. So you know your stuff.
Yeah. I'm glad to say that over the last 6 months specifically, so I went on this trip around the Middle East, to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. I worked different projects, as you mentioned, the FIFA World Cup, the Saudi National Games, which is kind of like the Olympics for Saudi Arabia, and the Dakar Rally. So for those familiar with rallying, it's basically one of the biggest rally events in the world. It usually used to go from Africa all the way to France, and then it was in Latin America, and now across all the desert in Saudi Arabia. So that's just like bit of an insight. And over those last 6 months, I've been able to create content, whether it's as the social media manager themselves, the one writing the captions, the one editing the videos, the one posting, or actually being the content creator. I've been able to, operate in different roles across each project and still succeed with the content I make. And that's allowed me to obviously, because at the beginning you were like, maybe it's a one-off, maybe I'm a one-hit wonder. But when you do it across different platforms, different industries, different languages, across many years, you start to believe in yourself a bit more. And I realized that the rules apply the same everywhere, right? They're the same rules, the same methods, the same principles. It's just about tweaking them wherever you go around, right? And for me, the first principle that I have for content is that be absolutely grateful and blessed for the fact that we have something nowadays in 2023, right? 15 years ago, if you needed to get a video out to tell people what you think about something and possibly make money from it and possibly reach millions of people, how could you do that for free? Maybe for a few $100s, right? How easy would it be right now to get your phone, right, and record a video for minimal cost and get your thoughts out to people? That's when I thought for myself, and that was before I blew up on TikTok. The revelation that helped me blow up on TikTok was my content is my blank canvas. That's principle number one. Whatever I produce is my rules, right? We live in a world where we have so many norms, so many societal rules that we should or should not follow, political correctness. There are many things here and there where we kind of have to abide by, but they're not maybe written rules, but we kind of know subconsciously, like, okay.
Unwritten rules.
Yeah, unwritten
They're
rules.
literally unwritten rules that they're very vague.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the reality is, for your content, there are no rules. And if there are any rules, there will be platform rules which say, okay, you can't kill someone in your content. You know what I mean? You can't bring weapons into... Okay, fine, those things. But I talk about creatively. There is no creative limit that you can reach. I was just watching a video by Arak. He built the world's largest pizza for the Guinness World Records 2 days ago, and he did it. He succeeded. There was no rules. Why? Like, I'm surprised to know that there's not a lot of accounts that do, like, breaking Guinness World Records, because there's no rules. There's no limits to what you can do. And that was the first principle that got me to really understanding that content, is really this magic potion of whatever you want, whatever combination of skills you have. If you're a good videographer and a good talker, your combination of things, and you're into finance, your combination of things would be different to someone who's a good draw. He's very good at drawing, very good at painting, and likes to run, for example, right? Completely two different things. And that brings me to a second important thing when, you think about content, whether you want to reach your niche audience or whether you want to reach a huge audience around the world, and that is to make it simple, right? I'm someone who likes to create like these endless hula hoops of what my content could or couldn't be. I'm singing a song from every country in the world. So there's over 150 languages that I'm coming across. Over 50, 60, maybe even 100 genres, right? And counting that I'm going to come across and hear similar sounds and different sounds and try to combine them together. So I like complex things.
Is that the reason why you started your TikTok? Was it for that challenge, or did it evolve into that?
Well, it was definitely because of that challenge. I just said to myself, I want to sing a song from every country in the world. How I do it, I don't know, right? But at the beginning, I was like memorizing them on my own and not documenting to the world. And then I realized, okay, I'm putting it on my bio and I'm updating my bio. And then I go on my story and I say, hey guys, I learned a new language. Or I learned how to sing in a new language. But then I realized, like, where is the documentation? And that's when I thought, okay, just do a video. Simply say, I'm singing a song from every country in the world. This is country number X. And there you go. Just do the videos. And over time, that has evolved from being in my room to being at the desert, right? When I went to the Dakar rally in the desert, I'm like, nothing's going to stop me. I did one in the sleeping bus, in the very narrow sleeping bus that we had. And I thought, it's going to be a different type of content. Now, that video didn't go well because it was a different country on the algorithm that I had. But give it maybe a month and then you'll see that video blow up.
But you already had that purpose and the vision for starting a TikTok. Like lots of people, I feel like they're just like, oh, I want to blow up too on TikTok. Yeah. So they make an account and they start just, throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah.
And it's just junk. Like they don't have any reasonable purpose for being on there. But you had that vision of like, I want to do this. And then TikTok just became the medium for you to go on that journey.
Yes, a lot of people misunderstand the way that I use TikTok. A lot of people think I consume 100, 200 TikToks a day. For me, TikTok is the medium for me to post and for the medium for me to interact with my followers. and that's it. I don't consume any TikToks a day. And that is not a source of pride or guilt for me. Like a lot of people understand that wrong. It's just one of my habits. Or it's one thing that is not my habit is to consume TikToks, right? That is unrelated to whether I do TikToks or not. But as you say, it's the medium. And it's the first time someone has said that. It is just the medium to post. And I mean, I would love to go into the detail of like social media platforms, but the third principle, to go back to what I was talking about, the principles, is that it doesn't matter what platform you're on. It doesn't matter. Like there's lots of people on YouTube who've succeeded with the rectangular 50-second videos. Not on TikTok, but they've got millions of views on rectangular 50-second videos. And there are people on TikTok who have done rectangular videos and have more than 1 million followers in 20 videos only. So there's no rules. Again, you go back to there is no rules to what you can post. And once you just try and continue to try and find what that niche is, which is, by the way, I had a vision, right? But even I had to try and throw shit at the wall and throw junk.
Yeah.
It's equally the same for people who just want to blow up.
Yeah.
The only difference I would say between someone who has a vision and knows what they want to do and knows what they want to be known as, between someone who doesn't have, is that some people may associate that I just want to be famous. And then once you reach that level of fame, you feel this is empty. There is no journey for me. There is nothing for me to indulge in. Like I know for me, famous or not famous, I know at the end of this journey, I would have consumed music and languages from over 150 different countries. Maybe 200, maybe 250 different territories in the world, right? So I know that regardless of the end result, I know that this journey would have fulfilled me. I know this journey would have enlightened me. I know this journey would have given me experiences that I was never able to live before.
And that actually shows through with your content.
Yes.
You can tell that you're excited to be making those TikToks every day.
100%.
It's not just a grind. Like, yeah, it is a grind because you have to be consistent. It's still work. But your enthusiasm for what you're doing shows in the TikToks, which provides the energy. You got a lot of natural energy anyway in you, I reckon.
I guess that's what I try to do is I try to say, okay, where can I find my natural energy?
Yeah.
You know, the reality is, again, we as humans like to think we can be perfect in everything, but sometimes there are just things we are naturally better at. So what I try to do is where I know I won't succeed, so I know I try doing a lot of vlogs with the camera, but I know that if I'm focused on the setup of the camera, I'm not going to vlog as good as I can. So I try to eliminate that friction. I know that, for example, at the beginning of this Every Country Challenge, I knew that trying to make it as complicated as possible and go to different locations would cause me friction. But now I've gotten so used to doing the challenge that I know that I can put my camera and tripod anywhere in the world. As long as I have the song in my head, I put my AirPods on, I can record it and do it within the space of 2 minutes.
Yeah, so the last couple of TikToks you posted were all like in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, like, during the Dakar rally and all of that. Tell us like how long that whole sort of campaign for you was, the journeys that you had and the experiences you had going, overseas to the Middle East and filming all that content for FIFA, for the Dakar rally. Take us like on that journey that you had for that, and what you kind of learned from working with those big companies. Because I bet a lot of people watching this probably have their own accounts. They probably make content. They probably, maybe have their own business, or they want to get into that sort of industry. So working with FIFA, that's a huge thing. I mean, you don't talk about it that much, but like, I think a lot of people, like, you don't talk about it with me at least that much. You mentioned it, and I was like, dude, that's huge. But you say it very casually, like, oh yeah, I'm just the face of FIFA. I just got to do a lot of work. I'll be back in 6 months.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's a huge thing that I think a lot of people would love to be in your shoes. However, you told me it's a lot of work. Like, you told me it's really not suited for everyone. The kind of pacing and everything that that they have, and the pipelines of content that they have. There's so much that you have to keep your head around. So explain to us like that whole journey and that experience for yourself.
Yeah, well, the FIFA World Cup truly was like a test of my character, because it was something that I've dreamed of doing all my life, to work at the World Cup. And it's something that I had built for 2 years, that I want to, like, I was in the middle of lockdown in Melbourne, and I had set and manifested and said, I'm going to work at the World Cup in Qatar in 2 years. I'm broke and I'm on lockdown and I am unemployed. I have no way of getting there. It's a 14-hour flight. It's going to cost crazy amounts of money. And in the end, I got my flight paid. I got wages paid. I got everything covered for, and accommodation to watch more than 16 different games and cover over 30 games at the FIFA World Cup. So just that is surreal. And the reason I don't talk about it so much is because I'm still in the process of processing that. Right. And I also was working for 90 days straight at the Saudi Games just before the World Cup. I had a 2-day break, which wasn't really a break because I had to go and finish admin things for the World Cup. And then I headed straight to the World Cup and started working. And just to give you an example of a day at the World Cup, there were 4 games happening a day. If there was a game at 1 p.m., which is the earliest game, you had to be up by 7 a.m. Go to breakfast at 7:30 a.m. Get your camera ready that by 8:30 a.m. you're at the stadium. It's hot. It's 9 a.m. in the morning, and you are supposed to be recording content for 4 hours, going back and forth between the media center, making sure that you upload the videos in time, you edit some videos, you do this and that is just one game. You talk with fans from left, right, and center, and the time, there's 4 hours, so you think you have a lot of time, but time is going really fast, and it's very hot, and you go from the heat to the AC back and forth, and the stadiums are huge. You're talking about 80,000 stadiums, 60,000 seater stadiums, right? And the media center may be on the complete other side of the media tribune, or where the fans are, right? The fans, where they are, is not next to the media center because they're not allowed there. So you're going there every day to 1 or 2 games, which, by the way, is not as easy as it sounds. For a lot of people, they think, going to 1-2 games out of 4 a day is easy. I try to do the 4 game a day. It's absolutely not even possible to reach there on time, even though the stadiums are really close to each other.
And not only that, you were shooting content that entire time.
I was shooting content for my own account, and I was shooting my content for FIFA in 3 different languages, and I was shooting content for some other clients that I was doing work with. So it was hectic. How I wrapped my head around it, how I managed to sing a song with 16 people from 16 different countries at the World Cup. Like, I look back at it and I say, wow. Because during the World Cup, I was like, I'm a complete failure. I fucked up my content. I did everything bad. And for a time, during the World Cup, actually, my content took a hit. I wasn't getting any views. Wow. I wasn't getting any views. And so that was affecting me mentally, but I was just like, I have to pull through. I know that I'll go back in a few weeks, start posting the Every Country Challenge again, and go back up.
Is that because you weren't putting as much effort onto it, or you were missing like your upload schedule because of the work, or?
No, because I was posting a different type of series, and I wasn't thinking about it in a way where I would optimize it for the audience, right? I was just like, I'm doing what's in my head, and I'm not making it simple for the audience because I didn't have time to think. Yeah. I just had time to edit and post, record, edit, post. No time to think. I would be out from 8 a.m. to 1 a.m. most days. So it was crazy. And maybe for the next 6 months, I won't even make a video on my personal account talking about it, because it's just so much has happened for me in the last 6 months that I don't know when I will be ready to just talk about it all as a story time,
And you've got a whole bunch of content that you need to sort through.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much. You said you had 60 gigabytes when we were talking before of just not even you talking, just like B-roll.
Yeah, just like B-roll from the Dakar Rally.
Yeah.
I have content from the Saudi Games, the 2 weeks we worked covering the Saudi Olympic Games. And I have content from going around Saudi Arabia for the Torch Tour for the Saudi Olympic Games. So I have 50 gigabytes for each of those events. And those are from 4 months ago, 5 months ago. And I still haven't even... I've only edited like 1 video. Yeah, so I have a lot of content just waiting for me to post on YouTube. And the thing is, when you're a content creator, right, 4 months is a long time. 4 months is enough for you to completely change your view on content, to completely change what you want to do for content. But I think 2023 is the year where I kind of go all into my content, look at all the mistakes I made over the last 3 years, and blow up. Like, genuine. Like, be by the end of 2023, if not 2024, just to be someone well known for bringing different adventures to the world, like the one I do with Every Country in the World, like the one where I literally went from working in an office to working on ground at the FIFA World Cup to working in the desert. Like, for me, that is just what I love to do. I can't work in an office every day, but I can't work in the desert every day, and I can't work from stadiums every day. But if you give me like a couple of months at each during a year, I'll be so happy to do that.
Yeah, actually, what did you do before you blew up on TikTok? Like, you say you want to blow up, like proper blow up, but I think 400,000 followers, that's a good badge of honor. Like, that, I would call that blowing up. But before you got into TikTok and creating content and this whole challenge of singing a song from every country in the world and becoming Karalius.
Yeah.
Becoming, like, before all that, what were you doing? Like, what's your kind of background, your experience? What kind of jobs did you have? Your upbringing? Like, where have you lived? And yeah.
So at the age of 12, I began writing content analyzing soccer, or as we say, football, right? I was analyzing games, and I would write blog articles for different websites, mainly for European and Middle Eastern football, and that then reached into Twitter, where I would start posting those articles, posting my thoughts, and I ended up building a 50,000 following on Twitter in Arabic and English, right? And that was kind of how I started from the ages of 12 to 16, 17. And that's what kind of got me into content. And throughout that, I would do YouTube videos analyzing football matches. And on Snapchat, which has a great following in the Middle East, I would kind of like vlog my experiences in Dubai, where I used to live and where I used to study. And then when I was in Australia as a uni student. So that was between the ages of 18 to 20. And during those years of 18 to 20, I started to move away from sports and move more into like content creation, vlogging, challenges, learning languages, learning how to sing music in different languages. And then I just decided to learn Spanish. I was like, I'm interested in learning Spanish. I know it's going to be an easy language for me to understand. I watched a lot of series, and I was picking up Spanish very quickly when I watched Narcos. And the Pablo Escobar series and El Chapo. I just picked up Spanish so quickly. I started being able to conversate Spanish just from watching Narcos and El Chapo. So I was like, it'd be a shame if I didn't know how to, speak Spanish. Started learning Spanish through Duolingo, but then actually music was my key. But music is in different, like Australian people will sing in an Australian accent, but if you listen to like drill, as opposed to rock, you'd get a very different Aussie rock accent to an Aussie drill accent, right? Same thing that goes with Spanish music. You'd get a different Puerto Rican reggaeton accent to what is a Dominican dembow accent, right? And so I would learn the slang and the accents of different countries that, usually when someone learns Spanish, they learn Mexican Spanish, Colombian Spanish, or Spanish from Spain. They don't really focus on Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic. They're very small islands, just off the coast of the United States. And then I created this character called El Árabe el Jefe. So as I'm Arab, and there was this Dominican artist called El Alfa el Jefe, which is the Alpha, the boss. That's what it means. So mine was El Árabe el Jefe, the Arab, the boss. And so everyone in the Dominican Republic, which again, small, like you get like, the guy had hundreds of millions of views because the whole of Latin America would follow him. But Dominican Republic was still only 10 million people, and only like a couple million people in the Dominican Republic would consume content about their music. I came in not knowing how to conversate fully in Spanish, like still at the Narcos, El Chapo level. Started recording content in YouTube, literally like this, like, hola, que lo que, yo soy el árabe el jefe, y yo estoy aquí, no hablo español mucho. And then I literally started going like, hola, que lo que, estamos aquí, el árabe el jefe reaccionando a música dominicana, el dembow dominicano con el alfa el jefe. And literally just through speaking and getting people to laugh, like people would be in the comments like, dude, you just think you said a word that is good, but in our accent it means this, which is really bad, right? So doing that, I built a following of 40,000 on YouTube, 150,000 on TikTok, and 12,000 on Instagram of just Spanish speaking followers from the Dominican Republic. And that was kind of my personality for 2 years. Especially in Australia, I started getting Dominican music, bringing it on my speaker, going to South Bank, going to Docklands, and getting people to react to the music. People who don't speak Spanish at all, like, and even I would find like some Colombian people, some Spanish people, and be like, "Hey, you guys heard of Dominican music?" And Dominicans loved that. That's when my YouTube started to get so big. 100,000 views on each of the videos. My reaction videos would get 20 to 30,000 views, but these videos were amazing. And I would do subtitles in Dominican Spanish, which only Dominicans would understand. So when they would watch the video, they would be like, okay, this guy, he can't be Arab because he's understanding our slang so well, right? He's understanding those aspects so well. And those videos were going great, but then something weird clicked and I decided to quit that account. Everything was going completely well. Everything was on a high, and I was on the verge of breaking onto level 2. Like the level 1 was, the indie YouTube fame. Like, yeah, you've got a niche following. Level 2 was slowly break into the mainstream of the country's media. People in the media were paying attention. People were saying my name. Oh, the Arab guy who does content on like big shows that would get hundreds of thousands of followers. I would get artists from the Dominican Republic following me. And then I just quit. I just said, I have an aspiration of singing a song from every country in the world. Like Spanish is something I love, but I feel like I need to explore the world. And that's what built Karalius.
So that learning Spanish kind of ignited this sort of like passion inside you about not learning full other languages, but just like exploring other languages and different cultures and music, and that was kind of the genesis of that idea.
Yeah, until this day, if you look at my Instagram, you'll see sometimes that I post something in Spanish at the end, or just randomly making some posts about the Dominican people. Like on February the 27th, you have the Dominican Republic National Day, Independence Day. And what I realize, or what you will realize, is that I'm always thanking the Dominican people because they've truly been an inspiration for this journey, right? I may not do Dominican specific content anymore, but I still have the dream to go to the Dominican Republic, connect with the people, just as I was doing through social media. I built a second family of people in a country I've never visited before, from Australia to the Dominican Republic. That is something, so I can't forget that. Like, it is the reason for me being Karalius today. And what's great about them is you always see from time to time Dominicans commenting on my posts saying, "We miss you. Hope you're doing well." Like, they're very kind hearted.
They're like a family.
Yeah, they will be like, "Yeah, we wish you were still doing content, etc. But we understand, you're doing different things. But we hope you visit us one day."
That's so nice.
And yeah, I mean the same, equally. And I always like try to remind them from time to time, like, I'm still the guy you guys know, but I feel like this is the way for me to reach to a level where I can give back to them better.
Did you say you visited the Dominican
Never
Republic?
visited.
What do you reckon you could just go to the Dominican Republic and people would recognize you there at this point? Or do you reckon you could at least, if not that, do you reckon you could at least organize a pretty hectic meetup with your fans if you visited there?
Well, when I went to Saudi Arabia, where I had built an audience before, but through Twitter, right? Where people would only see my image, but again, not really, because not for the most part that I had an image. They would follow me on Snapchat, but on Snapchat I already had a few thousand followers, which is not enough, right? But moving 6 years later, I wasn't recognized in Saudi Arabia. Even when I would meet people who I knew before, someone had to say, "Oh, this is the guy you knew on Twitter," and he would be like, "Okay, now I remember you." So now the Dominican Republic has been 2 years ago. Now a lot of people still know my face, and I have had a couple of people on TikTok who've come and seen my account. They go like, "Oh, you're a lot bit Jefe," but whether a lot of people would know me or not, I would say a few hundred people, yes. But I'm not going to be like, yeah, tens of thousands. No, I'd say definitely a few hundred people, but that's the maximum.
It'd be so cool if you went over and you just you just filmed a vlog where you could actually just meet all of those people in real life. That were there from like the beginning. Like maybe it's like in the future or something, when you've got your YouTube like popping off and stuff. Like maybe it's a special million follower special or something. I don't know.
That's what I will do, and I plan to revive the El Arab El Jefe character when I go to the Dominican Republic, because one of the aspects of my social media I like to build is characters, right? If I could speak different languages, why not have a character for each different language? Because the Dominican me is not the same as the Aussie me sitting down right now, you know, or the Lebanese me who'll be just dancing the debke. So there's just very different aspects of me, and I think that's a really great way to do it, is to build characters, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's the only way really to do content properly. You have to build some sort of character that people can latch onto and understand, because as people as we are, we're very multifaceted. We're very it's hard to really pigeonhole someone. But if you become a character, or you form a character like you have, Karalius, he's the man who is singing or attempting to sing a song from every country in the world. You can understand that. You can put your head around that. And when you go to your TikTok, you understand what you're watching. You can follow the journey. But I think a lot of people, when they start TikTok, they might not even think about a character. They might just be uploading themselves. And sometimes that's good enough. But I think a lot of people like yourself, they realize, you have to craft, this character.
Yeah, and the same thing as you said is like Karalius is different to El Arab El Jefe, right? That guy is specifically known as the ambassador of Dominican music across the world. But Karalius is the guy trying to sing a song from every country in the world. And me, I'm still those people. Each of them just represent an aspect of my personality.
Exactly.
But the reality is, and I think this is, again, for the future, which, you see Mr. Beast, you see Airrack, you see Ryan Trey, and they're great content creators, and they always will be in English, and they will always, they will have great translators, people with, voice actors bringing their content to life for different languages. But I think one thing, and this is going to be the creators of the future, are going to be those who are multilingual, and not just multilingual, but able to evoke emotion in different languages. And those people will be not just the stars of the future, they will be the Mr. Beasts of the future. Because Mr. Beast has pioneered English content and English translated content, or as we call them, dubbed. I think, dubbed content.
Yeah.
But
actually, I thought he was doing subbed, but he actually does dubbed.
So it was subbed.
It's
and then
actually
dubbed,
voice actors from those countries.
Yeah. So it goes from level 1 is subbed, level 2 is dubbed, and then level 3 is just you're
organic.
The guy. Imagine
you're speaking the language.
Imagine Mr. Beast spoke Hindi.
Yeah.
Imagine Mr. Beast spoke Chinese.
Do you reckon, though, that would gain him that many more followers if he spoke it rather than if it was dubbed? Because apparently in India, they speak many different dialects.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're very used to dubbed content. I know this only because I watched Triple R.
Yeah.
And I didn't even watch it in it was dubbed into another language and then subtitled.
Yeah.
So it was like 3 different levels of like language. Do you reckon that that the difference between dubbed and natively speaking that language like we are now with English, do you reckon that would actually take him to the next level, or it's kind of an insignificant difference?
Well, at that point, it's not about followers anymore. It's completely not, like, because again, you can't speak every language in the world. Even if you spoke Arabic, are you speaking Saudi Arabic, Egyptian Arabic, Lebanese Arabic, Qatari Arabic, Libyan Arabic, right? Spanish, right? Okay, with Spanish, it's more understandable than, let's say, the differences between North African Arabic and Middle Eastern Arabic, right? So it's not really about followers. It's about evoking emotion with cultures that you find similar to yourself, or something that you can fit in. I mean, like when you account, there are more than 5,000 cultures in the world, but you can connect with 3-4 different cultures, right? Mr. Beast speaking in Hindi, all right, or speaking in Punjabi, or speaking in Gujarati, will create a bond with those people who speak the language that is worth more than money, that is worth more than followers. It would become like a familiar like connection, where literally the guy would be always welcomed in that city, right? As if he's one of them. That is worth more than anything. That is where you transcend just content for money and content for views. And that's what I look when I look at guys. Like I just saw again Airrack with this video of the world's largest pizza. It's transcended money, and it's transcended achievements and success. It's just he wants to have a huge pizza party with people and show him that his passion for pizza, after he was not invited to, he made a pizza party at the age of 8 and no one came and no one showed up. So again, it's a story that transcends all of that. And now he's built a family with those pizza loving people. Now imagine he did that in Arabic, right? He did that in Spanish. So for me, my way of doing that is with language. And I see that in the future, it's definitely going to be an important one. And how we continue to connect around the world, more people are learning English, but also more people are getting closer and closer to their cultural roots. Like, I live in Australia, I never learned Arabic. Or I live in the US, I never learned French. Let me learn my home language. Let me get back to my culture. You know what I mean?
I think that's a really, that's a pretty powerful insight. I think a lot of people overlook, they just look at the numbers, like how many people that are following them, but they don't look at the connection with their followers. Like you can have 1 million, followers on TikTok, but if you stopped uploading on TikTok, would your followers ask where you went? Would they say, how are you doing?
No.
Are they okay? That's the connection. That's the more deeper connection that if you can establish with your followers, wherever you go, they will follow you because they like you. So I totally get that, and different cultures have different levels of that.
Well, that's a note that I would like to end on. On my Spanish content, I had 40,000 followers on YouTube, and I had a total of 200,000 followers across all my content on Spanish social media. Meanwhile, I have more than 450,000 followers now. I've left TikTok for a couple of weeks now, and no one asks about me from the 450,000 plus followers. Not to say anything, but that's the number. Meanwhile, 1.5 years later, I still have Dominican people asking about me, even though there are much less followers. On YouTube, I have 40,000 followers, but there's still people until this day who say, I still watch your videos. I still comment on your videos.
Yeah.
So it's not about the quantity. it's sometimes about the quality. Like for me, the connection that I made with the Dominican people transcends what I'm doing with this challenge right now. What I'm doing with this challenge right now, yes, I'm trying to sing a song from every country in the world, and yes, it would be amazing to finish that challenge, but this is just like the first step. It's like if this is 10 years from now, this challenge is insignificant because it's just the stepping stone. Because right now, it's great to do one song from every culture, but I'm still not getting deeply connected with any of the cultures, right? Maybe a couple of songs here and there, but
This is the tip of the iceberg for you.
it's the tip of
and
the
if you
iceberg.
want to follow Karalius, plug all your social media channels because this is just the beginning.
At Karaliazus, Karaliazus. That's Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. You'll find me there, and by the end of 2023, we'll be looking different from now. Trust me on that.
All right, so last question to wrap things up. If people are wanting to blow up on TikTok like you, if people are wanting to get opportunities to work with FIFA and all of these big companies, what should they be focusing on now if they have 0 followers?
What do you bring to the world? Like truly, truly, truly. Like it's a combination of what you love, what people need, and what this world needs. What are you bringing that no one else can bring? It can be just a small tweak, right? Like if someone's creating a Big Mac, you create a Big Mac maybe with a bit more pepper. Like what is your tweak? What is your special niche? When you add your flavor, if you were a spice and you spice someone's food, what do you offer different? And then how can you bring that to the world? If you can answer that question, you'll be all right sooner or later.
Beautiful. All right, I think that's the perfect way to wrap up an epic episode of Humble Radio.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Josiah.
Thanks for coming, bro.
Cheers, man.
All right.